basically that we love God with all our heart, all our soul, all our mind, our total beings, and love our neighbors as ourselves. So when we called for our National Day of Penitence, it's a day to reflect on what our Christian life is all about. Who is indeed Lord? Because every time we say Jesus is Lord, we declare that we are his subjects. But if we are his subjects, then we don't set our own agendas. We must take our plan of action from the one who is our Lord. Paul refers to himself all the time as a bond servant, which means that he has no will of his own. Indeed, in Galatians chapter 2 and verse 20, Paul says, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live. Then he goes on to say the life that he lives in the flesh, he lives by faith in the Son of God who loved him and gave himself for him. So basically, this is what we're trying to help people to understand. It's not a conference of churches thing, but it's an attempt to get our nation to refocus. And I think coming right after February 7th, it's very significant. So in refocusing on our lives, we can also refocus on what being a Grenadian means to us, a Grenadian Christian. And although Grenada is made up not only of Christians, and so this can be a time to when persons of other faith reflect on their own spirituality and what it is that we're really about. And even the person without faith, the person who may be agnostic or the person who may be atheist, reflect on what it means to be a human being and how we ought to treat other human beings.
If we look at ourselves as bond servants, do you think we'll be able to lead better lives if we see ourselves as bond servants?
Certainly, certainly. Um, Not that somebody tells you you're a bond servant, but you perceive yourself to be a bond servant, and you live with the attitude of a bond servant, which ends up being you say to Christ all the time, "Not my will, but Thy will be done." Can you imagine what would happen if Christians were to be saying this all the time? Whenever we attempted, we said, Lord, I'd really like to do this, but not my will, but thy will be done. Yes, it would. And I have mentioned before, one of the major problems that we have as Christians is the old nature always wants to usurp the influence of the new nature. And one of the biggest enemies of Christ is I. I want this. I want that.
And is it a situation where in some cases we may know what is expected of us, but we probably look to the other person to become or to do what
Right.
we know we should?
We know that, but sometimes the flesh is so weak. The the temptation so succulent um, that it's not easy. And I know the struggle we have. Take for instance the person who's diabetic, and I am. Okay, there are times that you know that you are not supposed to be eating certain things, and that you might be given a leg in exchange for that ice cream, because ultimately if you continue to eat those things, you are giving up something in your health. But at the moment, the immediacy of that desire um, completely overtakes all sense of reason, and we give in to that desire. And then after we finish, we are so sorry, we are that. But another time, and then eventually we have to have an amputation or something.
Wow. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Just that this whole thing of reflection is not supposed to happen just on Ash Wednesday. It's supposed to happen all the time. We are just calling a nation together to do it together. Um, I think it's Socrates, the philosopher, said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And I believe that is so true for all of us, but particularly for us as Christians, that we need always to reflect in the light of the Word and in the light of the light, Christ Himself.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Okay.
We have been speaking with Reverend Dr. Oscar James, and of course, we've been talking about the National Day of Penitence. As you mentioned, that's Ash Wednesday, February 10th. And what we should do is not just focus on that day, but of course, for all our lives, just to make ourselves better people, refocusing on our faith and Christian life. We take a quick break. We'll be right back.
From dreams comes reality. From the dust we have rebuilt. Saturday, 23rd January, the spectacular official opening of the Grenada Athletic Stadium. And you are invited. Every Grenadian throughout the Tri-Island State got to be there. Along with our specially invited guests, Grenada's very own Kirani James. Plus other national icons. Athletes from the nation's top 8 schools compete head-to-head in exciting relays, blazing the newly laid tracks. Live band, Grenada top dance groups, top soca artists, exciting fireworks display, memorable door prizes, and giveaways galore. The kids will not be left out. Also, football action. Paradise FC International takes on Mount Cinnamon Hurricane Sports Club in the Sanders GFA Super Knockout for $20,000 cash. And your admission is absolutely free. Free. With free buses from every constituency. Don't miss this spectacular sporting extravaganza. It will be a cultural experience to remember. Saturday, 23rd January from 4 p.m. The official opening of the Grenada Athletic Stadium.
Love the land you live on. The land is simply awesome and majestic. It feeds, clothes, and shelters us. The land protects us from the Hurricane Ivans of the world. Provides clear crystal waters 24/7. Could you imagine life without the land? I want you to ask yourself this question. Why sadly around the world and in Grenada, lands are slowly dying, slowly dying. With our bad practices every day, my land, your land disappearing, is disappearing. Is what we call land degradation. It show up as soil erosion, coastal and loss of vegetation. That's how we degrade this Spice Island. With landslides, slippage and dying mangrove, to name a few. So here's what I want y'all to do. No one wins from land degradation. The power is in your hands to stop it today. Begin sustainable land management and love the land you live on.
No, right? Allergies. Okay, so we're back with you. We have our next guest in the studio. To my immediate left is Miss Christina Cornier, and she's an artist. And to her left is Miss Susan Mains, no stranger to the studio. And we're talking about the art gallery showcase. It's called Gaze.
Yes.
Okay, and that is your creation.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, and your purpose for being in Grenada at this
Yes.
time.
Well, I am from Chicago, Illinois. My husband wanted to go to medical school, so he applied to SGU here. So we moved down a little over 2 years ago. But I've been a painter all of my life, and I went to art school in Chicago, at the Art Institute there. And so this was my opportunity to paint full time here. And I met Susan through the gallery, and we developed a relationship. And yeah, it kind of blossomed from there.
Great. So this is the first thing that you've done since you've been here? for the
Yeah,
last 2
I
years?
just focused on painting here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's called The Gaze.
The show is called Gaze.
Right.
Exactly.
So to explain to us what exactly this is.
Yeah, the theme. So I was thinking a lot about power and strength, and
Okay.
I've always painted people, and I wanted to focus on women. So I was thinking a lot about how in art history, the gaze was always seen as men looking at women. It's always these men looking at bodies of women and objectifying them. So I wanted to see what changes, if anything changes, as a woman looking at another woman, and if the gaze was turned back out onto the viewer. So a lot of the women are almost confrontational in the show. They're gazing back at you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so when people hear the name the gaze, they could think about it in the way, as you mentioned, the way
Yeah.
a man would gaze at a woman, but you're actually looking at it from a different perspective.
Exactly,
All right.
exactly.
And the show has already started.
Yes.
And runs
yes.
until when?
It closes on Thursday, January the 28th.
All right, and it started when?
It started Thursday,
Last
the
week.
14th.
Yeah.
Oh,
last
so it's from
week.
the 14th to the 28th.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So, Ms. Mains, as Mrs. Cornier just mentioned, that you all have developed a relationship and you're showing her work at your gallery. Why are you showcasing her work? there?
Well, I have to say, first of all, that Christina did not say, but I have to tell you all, she is a Caribbean person.
Okay.
That her father is from Puerto Rico. And so she grew up with that Caribbean aesthetic, and you can see that in her work. I particularly am happy to show her work for several reasons. First of all, she's a very good painter. Her work is just amazing. I hope that you will get a chance to come down to the gallery and see it in person because, you know, we're seeing the pictures on the screen, but it doesn't do it justice. You have to come and actually see those brush strokes. That painting is very large. It's about 4 feet by 5 feet, and so you can walk right into it. So I wanted to show her work because she's a very good painter, because it gives an example to some of our young artists, our young people, of what painting can be. One thing in Grenada, we don't see enough. We don't see enough artists' work. We tend to always see each other's work, and we know, you know, we know the work. We know the work of Freddie Paul. We know the work of Mr. Brown. We know what to expect. And so seeing these paintings gives us something that's quite unexpected. And for students, I would say that they should come and look at the art because they can learn from it. So the students who are doing their SBAs for CXC, who are doing color studies or portrait studies, they should come and have a look. So that was the first reason I'm showing her work. First reason is she's a very good painter. And I have to say, just a little commercial plug here, the prices are very reasonable. Not going to say what they are. You have to come and see it. But her work, it's a very good time to collect her work because her prices are, she's young, and her prices are reasonable. As she grows older and more experienced, the prices will go higher and higher. I can guarantee that.
So now is the time to take advantage
Now
of
is the
opportunity.
time. The second reason is because I really appreciate SGU. You know, SGU has contributed so much to Grenada, and I think it's important that we continue to have personal relationships with students. This was something that was much more so the case back in the early days when SGU was young. The students were more in the community. We
Right.
saw a lot more of them. We had friendships with them and so on. And I want to see that continue. And so I'm very happy that, you know, the opening the other night when Christina show was first opened, there were a lot of SGU supporters and people from the university who came out.
Great, because I wanted to ask you about the reception, but apart from the SGU people, how has it been for people, you know, locals?
Oh, well, at the opening, I was so pleased to see many young artists and photographers show up.
Right, so, Mrs. Cornier, have they been talking to you maybe about your experience? What exactly you do? Just seeking some sort of information as to how they can maybe make themselves, their work better?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of young kids from TAMCC talking to me about my experience and wanting to do interviews to see like how I started out and what kind of steps they can take. And that's been really, really exciting for me to talk to young people.
How long does it take to do a piece? Like we saw a young lady there with a cell phone, you know,
Yeah.
the selfie thing, we were accustomed with that. How long does it take to do something like that?
Yeah, I would say I work pretty slowly and it's large. So there's lots of layers to it. So typically I'll do a bunch of sketches and maybe take some photographs and start kind of piecing things together. And then once I'm actually on the canvas, it probably takes about 2 weeks, working, many hours a day.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I would like to add to that, because that's the question that people ask a lot, how long does it take? Christina's been painting more than 20 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all those 20 years of painting also goes into that painting because the experience
Right.
builds on itself. So it's really hard to say, okay, this one took 2 weeks. All of her experience, all of her thinking, all of that can't be measured in the hours that she's actually in front of the canvas. So the long answer is art takes a long time.
Right. So what would you consider one of your major accomplishments, as Ms. Mains mentioned, you've been painting for more than 20 years, in terms of where your work has been displayed?
I've been honored to be displayed at Susan Main's gallery. When I first was moving to Grenada, I was just searching for the art community here, and her gallery was one of the first things I found, and I really wanted to develop that relationship. So that's been a huge honor for me to meet many artists here and to be shown in her gallery.
Right. So do you have any other plans after this? What's in store?
Yes. What's in store? I plan on keeping my relationship with Grenada. I'm hoping to come back even after we will be, the next step in my husband's schooling will be back in the United States. But I plan on moving back here and living, at least part of the year here. And
Yes, we've told Christina that, you can leave Grenada, but Grenada will never leave you.
Yeah.
So we
yeah.
plan to keep her close.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I don't think so. It's been a pleasure being on your show.
Okay,
Thank
you're welcome.
you.
You're
I
welcome.
would say what I want to add is please come to the gallery to see the exhibit. You can also find it on the website, SusanMainsGallery.com. You can find it on YouTube. If you look up Christina Cornier, we find her talking about this show. We had a little session a few weeks ago called
Okay.
Cocoa Tea with the Artists, where a few artists sat around drinking cocoa tea, and she talked about her work. So it's one of the features that we plan to have for every show that comes up at the gallery, to let the viewers know a little more backstory, a little more of the personal side. So come see the show.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Mrs. Christina Cornier. She's to my immediate left, and to her left, Miss Suzanne Mains, of course, of Suzanne Mains Art Gallery. And we've been talking about the art gallery showcase called Gaze, as composed by Mrs. Cornier. And as Mrs. Mains mentioned, you can come down to the gallery and you'll see much more of it. The show started on the 14th of this month and it runs until the 28th. So we still have a few more days left to take part in that. Go and see what is down there, especially for all the aspiring artists and painters. You can get some sort of experience from it. We take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I love my Grenada, my homeland forever. Sing the chorus louder, tell them about Grenada, the land of my grandfather. She will always prosper. Oh, my Grenada, land of peace and culture. Grenada is such a paradise, but a lot of folks don't realize. If we learn to pull we hand to the little gods we can, we could make Grenada a better land. Mommy, oh, ah.
Listen closely, and you will hear what climate change might sound like.
$30 for a hand of bananas?
Severe drought could destroy banana plants and drive food prices up.
And now we can see the dead coral reef below us.
Dead coral? I thought it was alive.
No, it's dead. If you look at the pictures, you can see what the coral used to look like.
Oh, wow.
Natural wonders like coral reefs are disappearing, but listen closely again, and you can hear the solution. People disposing of garbage responsibly and not in drains and rivers. People responsibly discarding engine oil. Our climate may be changing, but so can we. Making small changes together can have a huge effect on reducing the impacts of climate change. Act now. Rally, rethink, respond. This message is brought to you by the OECS Secretariat with funded assistance from USAID.
If you spend 2 hours in a room where someone's smoking, you'll inhale the equivalent of 4 cigarettes. My dad shared an office with a chain smoker, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for more than 10 years. Not surprisingly, he died of lung cancer. I've had enough of secondhand smoke. Have you?
Does bad weather bring back flashes of the past? Does depression and feelings of hopelessness make you want to give up on life? Does uncontrollable anger, frustration, and stress push you to commit violent crimes? It's okay to be scared. You're not losing your mind. Suicide is such a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Once you go down that road, there's no turning back. When tempests flare, think twice, walk away. Let's all get involved. Talk to someone today about the way you feel. Call the Legal Aid and Counseling Clinic or the Ministry of Social Services. A message from the Wellness Committee.
Welcome back. We have our final guest in the studio. Very busy morning. He's Corporal Mike Modest of the SSU Fitness Club. So we're just talking about some of the activities that are undertaken there. Good morning. Welcome to you.
Hi, good morning.
It's good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
Well, my name is Mike Modest, Corporal of Police, number 119, a member of the Special Services Unit. I've been a member of the Rogan Police Force for the past 15 years. And about 13 of those years, I've been a fitness instructor for the RGPF.
Wow, you're doing well. You have a lot of energy.
Well, this has dated back to secondary school, since secondary school,
right.
You know, and my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
I have represented Grenada in CARIFTA and Central American Caribbean Games and other games internationally as a javelin thrower for the country also. So that has been in me a long time.
Great. So you see an importance of people keeping healthy lifestyle.
This is very, very important, you know, because if you look at our society today, you will see that a lot of people is dying from chronic diseases, especially cancer and so on.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, because of our eating habits, lifestyle habits.
Yeah, our eating habits.
Definitely.
It's very important.
So what are some of the things that the SSU Fitness Club is doing right now?
Well, basically, right now, what we tried to do, because, you know, it's a community-orientated program, and we basically try to have a marriage within the SSU and the community. So we basically do not only provide physical fitness for people, but we also would go out and reach out in different communities and help people in the reconstruction of the houses. Less fortunate, I should say, because we really had a problem whereby everybody thinks that SSU is building house, the fitness club is building house for people, but it's basically for people who cannot afford it. They have the materials or some of the materials and they wish to get assistance, then we render this assistance. So for the past 5 years when the building in existence, we probably build almost 3 houses a year.
Okay.
We also assist in the painting of buildings and the painting of road humps and so on. And also every year we normally give out Christmas baskets to less fortunate people. So
you're doing a lot of work.
We're doing a lot of work basically.
Okay, so it's not just about the fitness aspect that some people may think.
No, it's not just about fitness. It's about helping the community and making an impact to help the nation to be a better place.
Right. How do you, for instance, the people who need house repairs and all that, how do you select those that are most in need?
Okay,
What's
what
the
would
process?
basically happen is that they would make a request to the commissioner of police, and then the commissioner of police then will get in contact with my boss, and then we'll discuss it, and then we'll check out the person to basically to see if they are needy.
Right.
We have some people who is capable of doing their own stuff, but you know, they find they could get help. So yeah.
So you have to ensure that it's a genuine case.
Yes, you have to ensure that it's a genuine case. So we basically go out and we recce, we check out the infrastructure to ensure the person and the area to ensure that it's a needy case, and then we take it from there basically.
Right. So in terms of the funds and the material and all that, so who would come up with that?
Well, most of the time that the funds is provided to the people, some people may get some funds from the government, some may not be enough, and then the SSU sometimes, well, we basically dip into our pockets and assist the club funds and so on to assist, because the club normally have a lot of fundraising events, or even the subsistence collected from the club membership would basically go towards assisting people. So we collect a contribution of $30 a month, and that basically would go towards assisting people and club function. So it's not basically a money making venture, but all the
Right.
funds is basically would go to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you put aside a specific amount of funds that you want to utilize in any given year, so you know, okay, we'll be able to build 2, 3, 4, 5 houses, repair these houses?
No, we cannot basically put aside because we don't know the demand and how much it's going to be, how much is going to be coming in, and we don't know how much
So you don't have a budget?
We don't really have a budget to
Okay.
say, like, we're going to get 300 persons coming in, so
Okay.
we can basically work with that. It basically fluctuates. For example, last year we were constructing a house for a woman, a lady in Grandance, and, you know, some of us, because of our own kind-heartedness, and we said that she needed it, just deep in our pockets and $600, $700, $800 and just buy the material. This is how much it means to us.
All right, okay, great. So what plans do you have for this year? 2016 has just started.
Well, 2016, we basically would be stepping up in our workout programs and beefing up the whole SSU Fitness Club itself in terms of the workout and the timings and so on. I know the president, which is Inspector Farray, was considering having a morning program whereby persons who cannot accommodate the evening time based on work schedule or classes or so on, they would come in the morning time and get that program. So we basically we'll be offering that, and we're basically going to be offering a lot of other new stuff for this year coming up. We also have a very good relationship with SGU, whereby SGU doctors and students will come over and they will do different tests to see how you're progressing and to see if you have any problems or any illness. So this we're going to be also beefing up on that this year. Sometime next week or the next 2 weeks, you have some people coming in from California within SGU, and they're going to be coming down to SSU to basically look at what we are doing and so on, and to take tests on the people and track people's progress.
Okay, so it's not just about people coming down, participants coming there and then going home. At least you're giving them an idea whether what they're doing makes sense.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I guess some people, they might be exercising but still not following a particular diet. And when we say diet, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut out all the things that you enjoy, but just, you know, eating right, changing all the things that you do to ensure that you see some sort of progress. So if they're not doing that, then it's not really making sense.
Yeah, I think that basically is a lot of people's problem, because you see, you know, everybody metabolism rate is not the same. I may be able to eat anything and not put on weight, but you cannot do that. So you have to basically look at the stuff that make you put on weight and cut out the amount in it. If you don't want to cut it out in total, but cut out the amount in it.
Some of it.
You know, and working out is not basically coming to work out and it's a lime. You know, working out is serious business. And when you come from workout, you know, I have a problem basically seeing people coming out and work out, and then I'm not against KFC. I don't eat KFC, but I basically have a problem in seeing people come out to work out in your workout t-shirts and so on, and then you're in KFC, you go in KFC. I mean, we have so much local produce here in Grenada, you know, that we could basically live on. Look at turmeric, this, that. Everything we have is cure for cancer, cure for this, cure for that, but yet still, we are still trapped in a barrel mentality. We depend on everything coming out in a barrel, and when we have everything locally here, that is healthy for us.
So you're defeating the purpose, right?
Yeah, you're basically defeating the purpose.
Yeah, I can see you're passionate about that. So you mentioned about starting a morning program for people who can't make it in the afternoon. Is that something already concrete? When will you be starting that?
I don't have the data as to when it's going to be started, but I will get to the inspector and we will make an official announcement.
We'll be right back.
As to when he's going to be starting the morning program, because I know he's very passionate about it also.
Right.
Yes.
But people have already signed up. It's just, I mean,
yes,
right,
people
you don't
have
a specific date yet.
Yes,
people have already expressed
have
interest.
already showed their interest in the morning program, because when there's training school is in progress within the RGPF, then you'll find that we have a lot of recruits on the road in the morning time, singing all in the morning, and it's a very, very motivating chant in the morning time.
Yeah.
You understand? So a lot of people just be up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning walking out, and a lot of people have expressed an interest in that. So I think you'll be basically starting out also. I think this year you have a trip. We normally travel every year. We travel to a different country. For example, last year they traveled to St. Lucia, and they did a lot of painting. They paint schools up there, pedestrian crossing. They hiked up the pitons. So the club basically would be traveling also this year and taking and assisting some needy school or needy community, whatever country we decide to basically go in this year. So
that's good. So you don't just do that at home. You travel.
No, we travel to other countries and assist people in
So what is that done like a particular time? Let's say for Easter or Carnival or so, or it's when you have the funds?
Well, it's not when we have the funds. Is sometimes we schedule it based on when a holiday falls, because most people are working people. Yeah. So when we see a holiday is falling at this particular time and we could get like 4 days or 5 days, then we basically would use that time to travel. The inspector, he's known regionally, so he basically would reach out to different countries, because the club that we started here over 5 years ago has been copied throughout the region, and other people.
That's good.
Yes.
That is good.
It's been copied.
How does it make you feel personally when you travel and you do things for people and you can see the satisfaction, the happiness that it brings, knowing that you don't even necessarily know these people, but it's just about helping people as much as possible?
I don't think words could basically express how I feel about that. That is deep. Knowing that you do something and not because of financial gains, but because you love what you're doing. So it's extremely a good deep emotional feeling to know that you contributed towards putting a roof over somebody's head, or somebody sleeping comfortable, somebody having something to eat. It's just blessings.
Definitely.
It's just blessings.
So let's just go back quickly because we're running out of time to the exercise part, the fitness part. You mentioned besides the morning program you're trying to start, you said there'll be some other new things. Are there things that you can talk about as yet, or they're still in the pipeline?
We are basically discussing it. Yes, we are basically discussing it at the moment, so they don't come out and
Okay.
And also, like, other people been mimicking the program in a sense. So we're trying to have our thing as unique as possible. We even was thinking about reintroducing an obstacle course. You know how the military have the obstacle course and so on. So you come and you have a challenge obstacle course.
Okay.
So a lot of these new ideas will be coming on the table. You understand? So it's gonna be a bright 2016, because we also have trade winds down here this year. So we're gonna have a couple of thousand military personnel on our compound in Grenada. So.
Great. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Well, I just want to say to basically to the nation that the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation, and we have to eat local. We have to eat what we grow and grow what we eat. All the imported stuff with barrel mentality, we basically have to get away from the barrel mentality. A lot of things in our cupboards and a lot of things in our shelf is basically what is killing us today. All of them is packed with GMO and cancer cells. And those stuff are destroying us. Plant stuff in our backyard. Go back to the local chicken, or raise chicken at home for yourself, and get away from this imported chicken. Because those stuff is really not good for us. And the milk, And all the stuff is not good for us. The bush tea. That's
It's
the
better
best
thing, yeah.
That's the best.
Black sage.
You can't get away from black sage and honeysuckle and this stuff.
Yeah, I know.
You cannot get away from that. Patrick Dales will be always telling them about it. You know, the aloes and all this local stuff, the soursop, the lemongrass. We have to use our local produce and stay healthy. Too much people is dying. Too much young people is dying from sugar and from cancer and this in this country.
Your lifestyle diseases.
We have to ban a lot of the imported stuff with GMO and all that stuff. We have to take an aggressive approach towards it. I'm very passionate about it because I recently lost a sister from cancer.
Okay.
You know, yeah, all last night, and you know that was really heartbreaking. You know,
sorry about that.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking knowing that
And a young person, of course.
Yeah, just studied 3 years, and there's a lot of other situations like that around the country, and it's because of the same kind of attitude. You know, try to get people from stopping to eat certain things, but you like it because it tastes good. I mean, it tastes good, but it's not good for you. Zebra pig is very bitter, but zebra pig is very good for you.
I think once you build your mind to things, you can do it, you know.
That is true.
Because if you know it's good for your health, I know I can do anything.
That is true. That is true.
Just drink it out.
That is true. Wonderful.
All right. It's been a pleasure having you.
Same here.
We have been speaking with Corporal Mike Modeste of the SSU Fitness Club, talking about their operations and activities, and we've spoken about a number of different things. As you realize, he's very passionate about healthy living, healthy eating, and we've also spoken about some of the activities they undertake, whether repairing houses here for the needy, the less fortunate, people in Grenada or even out of the country, which gives them a very good feeling, and of course as well, helping people to stay as fit as possible. So there are a lot of things that they are doing. Well, here's where we come to the end of the program for today. It's been a very busy morning. We do hope you enjoy being with us, as we always do enjoy being with you. Have a blessed and productive day today.